Today, we're going to deep dive into branding and why it is so important. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the neuroscience and the psychology of branding. Driven Mofos, welcome back to another episode of The Underestimated Entrepreneur. All right, today we're going to deep dive into the psychology and the neuroscience of branding and why branding is so important to not only your business, but also how people relate to you as a person. Now, this all came up because Jess and I were sitting in the car after a wedding reception today, and we were just chilling out, eating some food in the car before about to have a long drive home. And I saw these surfy dudes rock up in a car, and they all had long hair. They were all wearing like these baggier shirts. They're wearing pull-up socks, so they've got their socks pulled up, and they're wearing Vans shoes. All four of these dudes all look the same. They all look surfy and skatey. Now, you can probably imagine what they look like just by me saying that. Then this other couple walked past, and they were all dressed from head to toe in Nike and Adidas wear. They're wearing running shoes. They look like they'd maybe just been down at the beach and had a bit of a run or a workout or something like that, and they were just heading back to the car. But it made me really think about branding. So why is it that the surfy dudes wear Vans shoes? And then why is it they dress a certain way and have longish hair? What are they expressing? They're expressing the brand or the look of a surfy. The athletic couple, they're walking past and they're expressing the value that they have around exercise and fitness. And they do that by wearing the brands Nike and Adidas or Adidas if you're in America. So it made me really think about branding and why branding is so important. You know, when I mentioned Ferrari, it's a brand, but Ferrari is a different brand than Ford or Toyota or even Tesla. We all think about the feeling, or we all get this feeling of something different when I mention Tesla versus Toyota. It's a different feeling. Why? Because our brain associates something different with it. Now, a brand really is a group of associations that we have around that product. So for the young surfy guys, they probably grew up potentially reading surfy magazines in an area where surfing was cool. And so because they have this association with the idea of surfing being cool, with this certain look and style, you know, the tan, long hair guy, reasonably lean, is wearing Vans shoes, so Vans get in on that, the brand. And then they start to promote themselves as a skater shoe or as a surfer shoe. And so now they're relating this feeling and this culture of surfing to the shoe or the product. So now these young guys rock up and they're full decked out in whatever clothes that they wear that then represents what they believe in, what is important to them, their value structure. Just like the couple that exercise wear Nike and Adidas or Adidas. Why are they wearing that? Because it represents something that's important to them. It represents what they believe. It represents the feelings that are associated with exercising. So when you're building your brand and when you're thinking about a brand, you're creating something called a neuro association, and McDonald's do this amazingly. If you've ever been to one of my events where I talk about branding or I talk about marketing, McDonald's do it so amazing. Because what they do is from a young age, one of the first things that people say to a child is, "Oh, look how happy it is." And so McDonald's got that feeling from a very young age and called it a happy meal. And so they turned a meal into something that people say to a child from the moment that it's born. Wow, your child looks so happy. So the child now already has an association with the sound or the word happy and the feeling that it has when it's happy. And so McDonald's call a happy meal because the child already knows from a young age what happiness feels like. And so now McDonald's are trying to create this relationship between the idea of feeling happy and their happy meal. They also put a toy in it, which makes it fun. That creates this neuro association within the brain, an association between the feeling of happy and also the feeling of getting something new, the excitement of it, the dopamine rush that a child gets or that someone gets when they get something new, like a toy. Then it's fun, they get to play with it. So now the Happy Meal not only has an association with being happy, it has an association or a feeling to play, to fun. Then now also the child eats the burger, which has a lot of sugar and a lot of salt in there. So it tastes good. They get this big rush of sugar. And now all of a sudden they're feeling great. They're with their family or with their friends at the playground and running around. And because of that, they're associating those feelings with this idea of a happy meal. Now, you're probably wondering why you're a 45-year-old adult driving home from work. You've had a shitty day at work, and now all of a sudden you start craving McDonald's and you crave that cheeseburger or the Big Mac Why? Because from a young age, you started creating an association between the feelings that you get being at McDonald's, with your family, with your friends, the sugar rush that you get, the feeling good of eating that burger. And then also the excitement of playing on the playground, meeting new kids, feeling connected with people around you, the excitement of that new toy. All of those things are the association that you have that when you start driving home as a 45-year-old adult, you start feeling like I've had a shitty day and I just want McDonald's. You don't actually want McDonald's. You want the feelings associated with that product. That is branding. So now, when you go out and you think, you know what, I could go and buy a $100 pair of runners, or I could buy the $200 pair of runners, or even the $250 pair of runners. You do that probably because of the feeling that you associate with having that product. And marketers and branders do such a good job of making you feel a certain way. Like, think about it. You go and buy a collared shirt for $20. Or you go out and you buy a polo shirt for $120, probably made in the same factory, but that little symbol of polo represents some form of luxury, something that's a little bit better than the average. And you feel better when you spend the $120 on that shirt versus the $20 on that shirt. $20, you go, it's just a shirt. $120, you go, I feel good because I know that I've bought something that's luxury. This is why Louis Vuitton made so much money during COVID. Their brand became one of the biggest brands on the planet. In fact, it did become one of the biggest brands on the planet. And the same with Apple. They both created something so powerful that when people thought about the product that they were buying, they got a feeling. And when you walk into a Louis Vuitton store and a dude with little black gloves on opens the door for you and says, "Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Come this way." And then someone else comes and greets you and they ask you, if you start looking around, they ask you if you want a bottle of sparkling water or a bottle of still water. They're creating the association of luxury with the product. And that's why some people spend way more. I mean, I love buying Louis Vuitton stuff. And yes, sometimes it is nicer. Like my Louis Vuitton shoes, I've had them for, some of them have been 5-6 years, and I look after them. And yes, they are probably better leather. Yes, they are better quality. But are they $1,200, $1,300, $1,500 quality? Probably not. But it's the brand and the feeling that I get by buying that product and that service, or having the service that they offer me by buying that product in a Louis Vuitton store, which is the reason why I keep going back. It's the same reason why you buy a $20 pair of Nikes that have a logo of Michael Jordan on there that makes you feel great. Because if you're like me, you grew up watching Michael Jordan dunk a ball, and it gave you hope. It gave you ambition. It made you feel good. You felt like you were part of something amazing. And I remember growing up as a kid watching Michael Jordan dunk the ball, take steals off of people, win game after game after game. And all I wanted was a pair of Jordans. Now, I couldn't afford them. My parents couldn't afford them. But when I became an adult and I started earning my money, the first thing that I started buying was shoes. Because for me, I just wanted to feel that feeling that the other kids had that I never had. And even as an adult, I still chase that feeling. So now you're probably thinking, how does this relate to me? Because I don't sell Jordan shoes and I don't have an Apple, I'm not selling Apple products. But if you're a business owner, you're selling a feeling which is associated with the brand. This is the reason why if you follow me on Instagram every morning when I wake up, one of the first things I do is I get up, I get my coffee, my long black with honey or my Americano with honey. And then I post, "Good morning, driven mofos." Because this community, you're part of something where you're driven, you're ambitious, you're completely misunderstood. You're the outcast, you're the black sheep, but black sheeps win the game. I always say to people around me, I'm the bottom dog that became the top dog. Why? Because I worked my ass off. I worked harder than everybody else. I'm ambitious, I am driven, and I will not fucking give up. I just bumped into an old employee of ours at the wedding that we're at. And great employee, like she's still an awesome part of our community. And she came up to me and she said, "Do you know, I've never ever worked for someone who works as hard as you guys." And I said, "Really?" And she said, "No one works as hard as you guys." And she said, "I work at a government department now, or at the council." And she said, "You would literally kill people who come and work for you because of how hard you and Jess both work." But that's this community. If you're listening to this, you're not listening to this because you're just looking to waste a whole bunch of time and you've got nothing better to do with your life than listen to a fucking podcast and some ranger dude just talk smack over and over and over again. That's not why you listen to this. You're listening to this because you want more out of yourself. You demand more out of life. You're better than the way that you're living now, and you deep down inside know it, which is why you're listening to that podcast, because you're trying to bridge the gap between who you are today and who you want to be in your future, which is why you listen to this podcast episode after episode after episode. It's why a lot of you attend my events and seminars. Why, if you're a business owner, a lot of you do Business Growth Odyssey, because you want to be surrounded by people that are driven, that are ambitious, and commonly misunderstood by the average person. I don't expect that the average person is going to understand me because I am not average. In order to be a visionary, you have to see things that other people can't see. You have to talk a language that most people won't understand. So when I say that we are working to be the best in the world at what we do, a lot of people around me go, oh yeah, whatever. That's okay. That's fine. They don't see it. I see it in my head. It's in my head every morning when I wake up and every night when I go to bed and multiple times throughout the day. I see myself speaking on the biggest stages around the top people all over the world. I see myself traveling the world over and over and over again. You're probably the same. You have a vision of a better life. That's why you listen to this. And that's our brand. I don't expect that everyone's going to understand, but hopefully by being part of this community of driven mofos, you associate the feeling of being driven, of being misunderstood, of being misinterpreted. It's the reason why I called it the underestimated entrepreneur, because you're probably underestimated, as I've been my whole entire fucking life, where people have underestimated my abilities, my skill set. When the teacher looked at me, my Latin teacher, in grade 9 at school and said to me, Michael, you'll never get anywhere in life with your attitude. By being put into special classes, by being made to feel like the dumb kid, by being expelled from school when I was 15, thinking that I was going to get nowhere in life. I'm sure that every one of you who are listening to this right now have had some journey of your life where you've been misunderstood, where you've been underestimated, where people around you just didn't understand. And right now, you might even have people close to you. Your intimate partner may not understand. They may not understand your drive, your ambition, but that's okay. You're part of a community that does. And that's branding. This brand, the brand that I've created, the Driven Mofos, that's our community. This podcast, The Underestimated Entrepreneur, my events, my seminars are all for those types of people. And hopefully, when you're around me and when you're around this community, you get that sense of belonging. That's the feeling of belief that I can do anything, the feeling of inspiration, the feeling that learning makes me better each and every day, which is hopefully why you're listening to this podcast. Now, I want you to think about how you brand yourself. Some people say to me, yeah, but Michael, I'm just an electrician. Great. If you're just an electrician, that's okay. You'll always be price competitive. But if you say, you know what? We do electrical. Yeah, we do electrical. But you know what? We're always going to be clean. We're going to be tidy. We're going to be neat. We're going to be respectful. And you have a cluster of values and stuff that you believe in. You're going to attract people who believe in the same things to work for you. You're also going to attract customers who value the same things, and that becomes your brand. If you do what everybody else does and you show what everybody else shows on Instagram, on your website and everything like that, then you're going to be the same as everybody else. You have to stand for something, which means you have to stand for what you believe in, because what you believe in is what your customers believe in also. And if you believe that cleanliness is important, then your customers will believe that also. If you believe that you need to be respectful to everybody around you, then your customers will believe that also, and they'll value that thing. And that's how you create a brand. If you do what everybody else does, then you don't have a brand because you don't truly believe. And my point for this podcast is that branding is so powerful because what it does is it creates a community of people who believe the same thing. And that's really what branding is. So when you go and buy McDonald's, McDonald's has a belief that you can have fast food and to feel good about life. And that's what they believe, or something similar to that, which is why they make it fast. That's why they make it effective. That's why they make it efficient. But it's also why they give kids toys, because they want to make it feel good. Apple, on the other hand, they create this simple, sleek design where everything communicates. They want to make something simple and effective. They don't need all the bells and whistles. And some people out there who are the computer geeks, they say, you know what? Apple are a piece of shit because I want something that's complex, that does everything for me, that I can code, that I can use, that I can mess around with. And Apple says, you're not my customer. My customer wants to be able to plug their Apple iPod in to their Apple mobile phone. You can hook it up to your computer, your laptop. In fact, now I'm running everything Apple. I've got my iMac sitting right on my right-hand side. I've got one of those like Apple computer desks, which is right here. I've got my Apple iPhone. I've got my Apple iPad sitting right here. And they all talk to each other. Simplicity is the key when it comes to Apple. But that's what they believe in, that everything should be simple and it should be easy to use. I want you to think this week about what is your brand. And you might not even be a business owner, but what is your brand? How do you want people to feel around you? What do you believe that you want others around you to believe? Because that is your personal brand. And your personal brand adds value or is valuable. The same as your business brand. Anyway, Driven Mofos, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's really important to think about branding because if you drive down the road, have a look, everything has branding on it. From your house, if you buy a nice house or you want to design a nice new house, you know the brands in most cases that you build with. From the cars that you drive, they're branded. The clothes that you wear, they're branded. The technology you use, it's branded. Why? Because branding is so powerful. It shows the world what you believe in and what's important to you as well. So Driven Mofos, have a great day. Keep kicking ass. And I'll see you on the next episode. Most people waste their life, and I just don't want you to be one of them.